So if you're a sucker for good storytelling, Mass Effect is a must-buy. It's got a unique story, and just when you think you've got everything figured out, the game throws you one surprise after another. This is a politically charged universe with a huge backstory, and it's filled with a bunch of really interesting characters. It's also combined with a really cool combat mechanic, which makes for a fun experience, and you're going to want to finish it to the end just to see how everything turns out. That doesn't mean that everything is perfect. In fact, it's sort of surprising that so many small annoyances and glitches made their way into this game since it has so much polish in general. But most people will be able to look past that and enjoy Mass Effect for what it is, which is a great role-playing game with terrific production values, and it's just a lot of fun to play. The story is pure space opera, but the tale is still really deep. A Spectre named Saren has gone rogue. He's ransacking ancient artifacts, unleashing violent robotic Geth on the unsuspecting galaxy, and as Shepard, you need to pursue him across the galaxy to find out what he's up to. You're going to navigate through a lot of dialogue in the game, and how you respond can have life or death consequences. At important junctures, however, your decisions can affect how the missions play out. When you're navigating dialogue, you'll also be earning Paragon or Renegade points, which is the usual light versus dark system you've probably come to expect. But the meters are separate rather than being at opposite sides of the same spectrum, so it fits in nicely into the game's appreciation for shades of gray. When you first land on a planet, you drive around in your rover. The thing's possibly the most resilient vehicle ever created. You get dropped in from hundreds of feet above, and you're driving around over impossibly steep mountains. It's too bad that the driving portions are probably the weakest thing in the game. You can spray machine gun fire or launch shells, and it works fine as long as you're on the same level as your enemies. However, your turret can't move up or down, so the result is that whatever your crosshair is on, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to hit it. It gets to be a big pain, and some of these battles are more of a hassle than they should be. The other annoying thing about this are these creatures called Thresher Maws, which are these creatures that burst out of the ground, spew some goo at you, and then suck back underneath. These encounters can be really exciting since they're pretty tough to take down and you have to keep moving. The problem is that sometimes they'll spawn right underneath you, which is pretty much instant death, or sometimes you'll find yourself getting stuck in the Thresher's geometry. It's just not a lot of fun to do that, and you're probably going to avoid all the flat expanses on the planets just to avoid it. Thankfully, combat on foot is absolutely great. You'll have a total of 6 teammates to choose from, 2 of whom you can take with you at any given time. They've got a bunch of different talents, a bunch of guns to choose from, and you have a lot of different ways to upgrade them. You also have some biotic and engineering abilities, so you can do things like push enemies back, lift them in the air, or create a vortex that sucks them all towards it. Engineers can do things like sabotage weapons, which makes your enemy's weapon explode. The combat feels like it should belong in a third-person shooter at first, but if you continually play it that way, you're gonna die a lot. Like many previous BioWare RPGs, you're meant to pause, survey things, and then perform your actions. You can set your party members to automate their actions, or just perform defensive powers on their own, or you can micromanage their powers on your own. Holding the right bumper brings up the command wheel, which lets you assign orders as well as perform your own abilities. Once you get into the groove of this, battles are thrilling and challenging, and you've got a lot of bullets and biotic powers flying around everywhere. It's just a lot of fun to fling the Geth around, hitting them with shotgun shells, throwing them in the air and watching them drop down from the ceiling. It's just something no other RPG can approximate. As you can imagine, you're doing a lot of fiddling with your inventory. You've got all these weapons, upgrades, and party members to deal with, but it's actually another problem. The menu interface isn't terrible, even though it's a little bit clunky, but it's all the little things that add up since you're spending so much time in the menu screens. Other problems rear their heads too, like when you get stuck in the geometry. Usually you'll be able to forgive this stuff because the game's so deep and varied. It's fun to get to know your crew, you can conduct clandestine romance, or you can turn your character into a racially sensitive diplomat, or you can be really hardline. You can do all of it probably in about 40 hours, which is pretty standard for a role-playing game, but there's enough content here that you'll probably want to play a second time. If you do that, you can explore your Renegade side if you didn't the first time, try other romances, or even see one of the other endings. The visuals are excellent, and the facial animations are amongst the best in gaming. Characters move their lips believably with the dialogue, and they express themselves with other subtle things like tilts of their heads. Character models are really detailed, such as with your teammate Rex, whose every wrinkle and ridge is really well molded. There are some technical issues, some frame rate jitters, and a bunch of texture pop-in, but most of the time Mass Effect looks absolutely wonderful. It doesn't mean the artistic vision is quite as interesting. It could very well have been in a Halo game, so it does get some inspiration from previous games and films. But even with those inspirations, Mass Effect still conveys its vision clearly, even if it's just with its character designs and some dramatic set pieces. It's also one of the best acted games in recent memory. It's got an all-star cast, and never once are you going to hear a drab line or hear somebody get really overdramatic. All told, Mass Effect is a great game with moments of brilliance and a number of small but significant obstacles that hold it back from reaching its true potential. In the end though, if you like RPGs and want to spend some time in an absorbing sci-fi world, this is the game for you. It also happens to be a lot of fun to play, and in the end, it's what it's all about.